Marching band is one of the coolest things that you're going to be doing. You get a whole bunch of camaraderie, you're going to be making new friends, totally new schedules, but the other thing too is there's going to be some things you need to buy. So stick around, we're going to be talking about all the things that you need for marching band. Howdy everybody, my name's Andrew King. We are here at Alamo Music. Don't forget to visit us at alamomusic.com where we have all of these items available for purchase, at least most of them, because we are talking about marching band, and this is a big thing. I mean, you're going from middle school where you're like in 6th, 7th grade, you do your beginner band thing, you're kind of away from everybody, you're playing your own instruments. Then you're in 7th and 8th grade where it's kind of like everyone's all together, kind of figuring out like what varsity is and playing together with other people and stuff like that. And then out of nowhere, you get into high school and everything changes. Suddenly, your summer's gone. You're in summer band. Now you're in marching season, you're going to all these football games, you're going to all these different kind of events, and then everything ends, and then you're in a Christmas concert. So like, there's a lot to kind of take in. It's a big shift, but today what I was kind of just wanting to talk about is just marching band in general, what we can expect to get, and what kind of items you're going to need to be prepared going forward. Now, the stuff I can't really help you with, but you should definitely get, make sure you have stuff like a water jug, make sure you have comfortable shoes, make sure that you put sunscreen and everything like that. That's all going to be very basic stuff. That's stuff I can't really supply or anything like that, but it's all very necessary because you're going to be outside a lot. And being outside can be dangerous, especially here in Texas. Like, I'm in San Antonio, Texas. It's like 100 degrees outside every day, so it's something that you got to be careful of. You're going to be moving around a lot, and look, I know band kids, you know band kids. There is a kind of a thing where we might not be the most active sort, and that's okay. So I totally recommend having tons of water, having tons of things that are going to help you stay healthy outside. Super necessary. And it's going to be required by your school for sure, but just to take care of yourself. Now, things I can help you with. The things I can help you with is going to be all the music supplies. Now, there's some basic things you're going to need. A flip folder is always necessary, and there's going to be different flip folders for different people. Now, attached to that flip folder is a thing called a lyre. Now, a lyre is basically the little connecty bit that takes you from the instrument to the flip folder, and it lets you hold it onto your instrument, and it's super useful. But not all lyres fit all instruments. The unfortunate thing is that most lyres only fit their own instruments. There's no like standardized lyre. Now, if you're a trumpet player or a trombone player, there's nothing I recommend more than putting on a bell clamp-on lyre. These are made by a company, I believe it's called DEG, and they're basically a rubberized tips on the flip folder itself that go onto the bell. It's super useful, and you don't really have to worry about getting the right lyre for your instrument. If you're a mellophone player or you're playing a trumpet or like a weirder, or playing, you know, like trombone or something like that, a lot of the lyres might be in different places on the instrument, or maybe you have a different sized instrument like a marching baritone where you get different ones for different sized people, and those lyres aren't going to fit them all. So you want to be careful with that. I totally recommend getting those bell clamp-on ones. Now, if you're playing like an instrument like the flute where you don't even get a lyre clip-on, there's really cool lyres that you can get where you can have it's an arm slab. It's basically an arm attachment with this piece of cloth that goes on there, and then it connects on there. So then when you're playing the flute and you're holding it up, you can read it off of there. Sometimes, and this happens, you know, with smaller schools and everything, they don't have a lot of the resources to get a mellophone or anything like that. So sometimes you're going to be on like an actual French horn when you're in like the stands and whatnot. Totally recommend, if you're going to be doing that, using the armband flip folder. Super useful. It'll get you far. It'll do everything that you want it to do. And plus you're holding it. It's even more convenient than playing the flute because you're like over here, and then with the French horn you're like right here. It works out great. If you're playing saxophone, clarinet, or anything like that, totally recommend. There's not going to be a lot of options, all size fit one. Just buy the brand of the lyre that matches the brand of the saxophone that you're using. Most kids, when you're playing on these instruments, are going to be using Yamaha or anything from like Hans Selmer. Those will all have their own lyres that fit them. In most stores, especially us at Alamo Music, where you can find it at alamomusic.com, we'll have those available for those. I totally recommend. If you're playing clarinet, sometimes you also have like the Buffet series, like the wooden clarinets from Buffet, the YCL 400, 450s. Those are great. The Yamaha lyres fit on the Buffet clarinets. So that's kind of your answer to that one. Most of the Yamaha lyres will fit on the wooden clarinets, except for the Selmer ones. Those tend to be a little more finicky. But you can totally do that. You can also like kind of bend and squeeze and stuff like that to make sure that certain things fit. But I totally recommend just getting kind of native lyres to their instruments. It helps out a lot. Also, flip folder pages are a concern. I totally recommend, if you're going to be getting a flip folder, buying at least 20 extra pages, depending on the band size and what kind of music you're going to be playing. It's going to be super useful. You just don't know how much music you're going to be playing, and it's helpful if there's other beginners in the class or anything like that that might not be as prepared. It'd be good to share, so it's always a good time. So getting the flip folder pages, they're like 55 cents, 50 cents a piece. Getting a good chunk of those for throughout the season or for the rest of your time in high school is always a good idea. Now, one other thing I'm totally going to recommend is if you're playing on an expensive instrument, say you're playing on like a clarinet or you're playing on a saxophone, you bring out your intermediate level one. You did really well in middle school. Your parents are like, awesome, we're going to get you the nice expensive instrument. That is not the instrument to bring out on the marching field. Unfortunately, you're outside and you're going to be marching on asphalt. And that's going to take a lot out of the instrument. You're going to be picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, all that kind of stuff. And you want to be really careful with that instrument because it's very fragile. These kind of intermediate professional level instruments are going to have a lot of very fragile metals in them and that can be very dented very easily. And unfortunately, there are just going to be a lot of things that you cannot keep track of when you have your instrument on the ground. Color guard, snare drums, people doing flips, people going up and down, looking backwards, walking backwards. There's just too much to keep track of. So you want to keep that very good instrument, just keep it safe. That's why I'm going to recommend, if you are using like a professional instrument, if you still have access to your beginner model instrument, use it. Use it for marching band. Use it for the football games. You're going to be moving them around a lot. It's going to be a lot of motion. So you want to use something that's kind of made for 6th grade kids to use in that moment. It's very useful. It's very practical. If you can't do that, honestly, using any of the kind of inexpensive ones, like we have the Antigua XP series that kind of are less expensive instruments. Having those works out great, especially if you're not playing like a lot of like hard parts or anything like that. That's a good thing to do over a long period of time. Now, if they break, they're gone for good. So that's kind of a trade-in. So I totally recommend more than anything using any kind of like Yamaha beginner models or student models, Conselmer, Buffet, that kind of thing. Plastic clarinets are always a good thing. They just last longer outside. They're better for it, and they're better for weather. That's always going to be a good option. If you're going to be playing a reeded instrument, using plastic reeds is always a good idea. Wooden reeds outside, especially here in Texas where marching band is so big, your reeds are going to dry out, and what's going to happen is they're going to ribbon. And what ends up happening is they just become unplayable. You're not able to play high notes. They kind of play in the middle, but they're harder, more resistant, and they're just not playing it to the level that they're supposed to be. So I totally recommend companies like Leger, Barry, Sios also makes some plastic reeds, but using a synthetic reed, the D'Addario Ven reeds are also a fantastic one for this kind of use. Using a synthetic reed for outside play, it's just a good idea. They've gotten so much better. When I was in high school, Leger had just started. They just weren't up to snuff as far. A lot of the plastic reeds back then and everything just weren't up to snuff. So what ended up happening was they had really bad tune or bad tone or tuning options. So band directors are very wary. I will say right now that they're in a better place than they've ever been before. Technology has gotten really far with these kind of reeds, so I definitely implore band directors to look into them as an option to use for those use cases. And they last forever. If you take good care of it, I used the Barry Sax Leger reed for like 6 months. And it's very easy to keep, take care of and everything. You can actually like wipe it off and everything too, just like you would with a swab on your saxophone because it's not made of wood. You just, just don't chip it or anything like that and take care of it, but it's a very good idea. So if you're playing a reeded instrument, plastic reeds, totally the way to go. You can also get like plastic mouthpieces for like trumpets and whatnot, but honestly, using your metal one is a good idea. You can just take it off and keep it in your pocket. That's a totally worthwhile investment. Now, if you're in the percussion section, I totally recommend getting any kind of finger tape or anything like that. That's going to keep you from, I'll say this. The snare, tenor drum players, bass drum players, the drum section in general in marching band is one of the most intense things you probably will ever do. I have huge respect for them. They spend most of their time together. It's like it's its own thing. It's super cool, but it's super intense. The kind of music that they play is super hardcore. It's very, very fast. It's very fluid. So I totally recommend taking care. We have stuff like stick tape to keep your sticks a lot more stable. All the sticks that you can use, you're going to be using huge sticks. So stuff from Innovative Percussion, Vic Firth, ProMark also. There's going to be a lot to choose from. So I would definitely talk to your percussion director and see what they recommend as far as that goes, because you're going to want to have the same stick for each person, because honestly, you just want to have everyone sound the same and as uniform as possible. It's going to be very good. Now, some other stuff that I'm probably not going to have here at Alamo Music is stuff like, duct tape is good to have just in case of a quick fix. But your band director is going to have like little kits and stuff to help you in certain cases. So definitely look to them for any kind of supplies that you might also need that maybe I missed in our video. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Marching band's really cool, and I hope you had it. I had some of the best years of my life in marching band. We ended up having to go to, I was at Taft High School around like 2010, and we went to Disney, and that was really cool. Got to march there. I spent a week in there, Universal Studios. I think we went to Busch Gardens too. It was really fun. It was a fun time, and I treasure it deeply. So it's something that I very much look forward to everyone else having, and I really, really appreciate you guys watching. Hit the like button. That really helps us out in the long run. If you can hit the bell icon, that gives you a notification the next time we get a video coming in, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.